Today on the show, I give the lowdown on two beastly metal music albums freshly reviewed. Will they make it into my collection? You'll find out here on the show that answers the main metalhead question: where can I get more metal music? Now, I'm going to break away from script here a little wee bit, and I'm going to share something with you, and it's a spoiler alert. What I just listened to with these last two albums in the last 90 minutes was absolutely fabulous. I will just throw it out there right now. It was an absolute joy to listen to both of them. Okay, so let's move along here. Terry here again with Cast Metal and another full metal review segment. If you like the stuff that is here in the slide to my left, all of those on that list, FMR is for you. I review and break down the newest extreme releases of the week from my charts and get them to you daily. And stay to the end because I'll give you another extreme metal album from my own collection too, just to say thank you. And let's move forward. So a recap. During episode 32, yesterday, I reviewed two albums, Extinction AD's Ruthless Intent and Upon Stone's Dead Mother Moon album. And although I added Extinction AD's album to my collection, Upon Stone, I did not. And you'll have to check out the last episode for the full breakdown. So, all right, so let's start the show. Today, our first album is a group I've never heard before. They're called Stages of Decomposition, and the album here is called Raptures of Psychopathy, or is it Psychopathy? Could be Psychopathy. I think it's Psychopathy. Okay, so let's start the FMR. Before I listened to the album, I opened the page to see that there were 11 mass murderer lullabies totaling 36 minutes. And the album cover artwork, as you can see right here, it seems to be a green theme with custom fonts. It's absolutely beautiful. It's gory and disgusting, but I absolutely do love the artwork. My hat's off and kudos to the artist, okay, for coming up with this concept. It totally sold me on the album and, my wanting to hear it. All right, so let's move forward here. My first impression, it has me visualizing something absolutely beastly. And although it's categorized as death and black metal in Apple Music, I know that they don't offer all the categories we use. So after looking at the album cover itself and the song titles, okay, I predict the genre to go beyond death metal. It's something that I'm going to coin a phrase right now. I'm going to use this term. I'm going to call it brutecore with death metal. All right? Brutecore. You heard that from me first, I think. Possibly. Anyway, I'll reveal what I think their actual genre is after I've listened to the album at the end of the show and compared to their actual bio to see if I was on point. So we'll move ahead here. Track one opens with a movie audio track from a cannibal movie. I won't give that away. Instantly, the deep locomotive-like crushing rhythms and tortured vocals have my fist clench, and I know that I'm in for a ride. Just like that. While track two, it hammers away with brutal rhythms and sonic range and tons of power. It's just nice all the way through. Track three launches into an explosive, deep churning and rangy extreme metal track. Next, track four, it's pure rage. It's thunderous, it's morbid, and it's got a range of rhythmic warfare. And quite frankly, it was a fave. Okay, so number four. Track number five, it just thrashes like someone poured gas on the band and lit a match. And I mean that in a good way. Then track six, it's just more explosive, deep, seismic rhythms. Track number seven was just yes. One word, just yes. Track eight, it changes up into a thrashier track with the speed really dialed up and lots of power and intensity. Then track nine, I noticed, somehow defies rhythm and speed at the same time. They put rhythm and speed in the same space, okay? And it's very rare to come up with a track this good. This track alone, I found, track number 9, is actually heavier than the previous three, although the previous three were incredible. Finally, track 10, absolutely incredible. Same thing all the way through. Consistent, heavy rhythms, deep, tons of power. Track number 11, I heard it, but I'm not giving it away. You do your own stream, okay? So I'm thinking to myself in summary that this band must be absolutely wild if you go see them live, okay? This band is pure sonic decapitation, and not that there's anything wrong with that. All right, so the recording and sound quality was crisp and clean. It was professionally done, while the production and musicality was raw like road rash. In the energy and intensity, it was smashingly high, while the rhythm and tempo was drilling. It is exactly the way I like it, personally, okay? Lyrical theme, here is gore and guts. Becoming a mainstream act here is, come on, who are we kidding? There's no way. Okay. So the range flow and layout of the album is excellent. It's consistent all the way through. The tracks are arranged very calculated for sure to keep you right in the game. And finally, they remind me of Cranium, Flesher, Condemned, bands like that. And ChatGPT says Cranium, Putridity, Abominable, and Ingested. Those 4 bands. So as far as individual performance, I described the the dual high fry and low guttural vocals as it's a combination of beastly and crocodilian, both put together. While the guitars I can only describe as thank you. That's how I like it. Okay, just crushing. The bass section was such a huge foundation to lay everything on. Bass player was absolutely huge here. And the drums and percussion performance was absolutely savage. And it's got that cool, snappy, tiny, compact snare drum sound that seems to be getting more popular with bands just like this. As far as sound clips, there were movie and news clips throughout there. And just to keep your interest up, it's like everything is within like a gore and a mass murderer theme. So the general feeling I had during this particular ride was basically a whole can of everything. It was chills, white knuckles, goosebumps, sweats, and electrical feeling all the way through the body. And it led me to give this album an ultra dark tonality shade, and the overall color I could only describe as ghastly green, just like the album. Okay, so it's very well matched with the artwork. Lastly, I rate the temperature as sub-zero cold. Okay, that's the feeling I got from this album. It was just chilling. And a seismic reading of 8.6 on the Richter scale. And I'm going to recommend this one to a neighbor that I don't care for. That sounds about right. Summary, my predictions from earlier were quite solid, to be very frank with you. The genre description that I give it, it's beyond death metal. And again, I'm going to say that word brutecore. It's just going to be how it will be, okay? And the official bio, when I opened it up, it says that they are known as a brutal death metal band. And I thought to myself, brutal. Okay, yeah, okay. So brutecore, yeah, I'm good. I'm good to go here. It's always a good thing when I'm on point. And my favorite tracks were 4 and 9. They just stood out, but the entire album was very consistent. And finally, is it going into my library? Come on. Of course it is. It just is. Okay, so our next album up for review. I've been waiting for this for a little while too. Static X with their new album, Project Regeneration Volume 2. Before I listened to the album, I opened the page and I see that there were 14 strong-sounding tracks, totaling 48 big minutes, okay? The album cover artwork, as you can see, is future tense with a variety of blues and whites with the unique Static X logo work. It's absolutely beautiful, gives me that digital Matrix-type feeling. And it's got Static X's custom logo with regular style or digital looking actually fonts. So now I'm no stranger to Static X. I've been listening to them for quite a long time. So did they change anything up with this album from years ago? We shall find out. Okay. So my first impression has me visualizing, and I know I can't hide it. The album should be massively energetic. That's my first impression. And although it's categorized as metal in Apple Music, I know that they don't offer all the stuff that we talk about. So I used to know them as an industrial nu metal style, and that's where I'll go right now. But I'll review their actual genre after I've listened to the album at the end of the show and compare it to their actual bio and see if I was on point. It's been several years since I heard Static X. I always loved this band. So before I begin, I want to mention how prominent and strong the vocalist sounds throughout each track, because I'm not really going to mention the vocalist very much all the way through the next 10 songs. Okay, and it was very hard to dissect this album because there was such a huge range of amazing, on point sounds throughout this entire album. They really deserve a higher end write-up compared to what I do here, okay, just to keep things simple. So we'll move forward here. So track number 1, it opens crisp, powerful, and very dramatic. I'm now at this particular point, I'm in industrial heaven at this point. Everything is just so strong. I know it's going to be a banging album. Track 2, it's ultra rhythmic and so deep and hard. Amazing chorus line here too, super strong. Track 3 grinds deep with energy, intensity, and razor sharp rhythm. It too, so strong. You're going to hear me say the word strong a lot because it is. Next track, 4, is so low and punchy. At this point, I'm all smiles, and it's got that unique Static X sound. And it has a little tinge of, it reminds me a little bit of Marilyn Manson stuff. And track 4 is going to become one of my favorites, I think I'll mention later. While track 5, it has a psychedelic feeling, but it's also a powerhouse with explosive rhythm, hit, and crunch. Track 6 is so strong with rangy, blistering, thunderous rhythmic passages. This is where a song turns into a ride. I think that some of you can catch my feeling. You can actually close your eyes and you can feel yourself get taken away with a song like track number 7. Well, track number 8 is razor sharp, deep, powerful, and so catchy and harmonious. Then track 9, it has me swimming in electric eels. It's so punchy. It's so strong with harmonies and rhythms all the way through. And finally, I know that there's 4 more tracks afterwards, but track 10 is where I stop and it just grinds and kicks with that thick, fat Static X sound all the way through it. In a quick summary, the energy throughout this entire album is massive. This album done in a live setting, it would be one for the memory books for sure. I'm thinking, wait a sec. I think I'm going to ask my wife if we can go and see this band live whenever they come around our way. All right, so the recording and sound quality, top-notch, professional, crispy from top to bottom. Production and musicality was so refined that it was raw, if that makes sense. The energy and intensity was enormous. The rhythm and tempo was just orgasmic. The lyrical theme here is future tense. Becoming a mainstream act, well, they're on the radio. We know that they are a mainstream act in many ways. So range and flow and layout of the entire album is consistent right through and through. The tracks, they are arranged meticulously all the way through. The great ebb and flow with the energy from track to track. They remind me right now of the old Static X, and it was always somewhere in the range of a little bit of Rob Zombie, a little bit of Fear Factory, and a little bit of Marilyn Manson. While I went to Chat GPT It says Powerman 5000, which is true, Fear Factory, and Cold Chamber. That's GPT. So as far as individual performances, I describe the vocals as big, while the guitars I can only describe as big. The bass section, big. And finally, the drums and percussion was just big. The whole thing, everything all the way through, just big. There were the abundant synthesizer samples and great filler uniqueness that makes up Static X's sound, and everything is just packaged so, just so tight. I love it. It was just a beautiful album. It was good to hear from them again. The general feeling I had during this ride was my entire body literally felt like a funny bone, which led me to give this album a dark tonality shade, and the overall color or colors could only be described as black and blue energy, which is Static X. Lastly, I rated the temperature of this album as white hot, gave it a seismic reading of 8.1 on the Richter scale, and I'm going to enjoy this one probably 3 or 4 more times this week between everything else that I listen to because I love metal. And in summary, my predictions from earlier were solid because I know them from before, but I couldn't predict the energy you get from such a fiercely professional recording. So yeah, I couldn't predict that at all. It just hit like a hammer. And finally, my official genre description is still industrial, hardcore, new metal in that area. In the official bio, it says the same thing. And my favorite tracks, all equal, but perhaps 6, actually maybe 7, maybe 8. I give up. They were all good. And of course, you know what? Finally, it's going to go into my library like an absolute bullet. And that is it, my friends. So we've come to the end of another episode of FMR. So I dug into my treasure chest and I decided to close it up. How about you guys do yourself a favor and just download these 2 albums, okay? Stream them and have some fun with them, okay? I'm going to leave my collection alone for tonight. And I just wanted to thank you guys for coming out tonight. And that's it for today. Remember to support your favorite metal artists, everybody. Stream them, engage them on social, buy the merch, see them live, and join me again soon for another episode of FMR. And finally, hit that subscribe button because metal matters, okay? And also, too, don't forget to set your notifications, okay, to get your album recommendations first. And we shall see you guys next time, okay, in the next show. Cheers and take care.